Life is a reflection of many aspects that touch us and many challenges that mould us. We can only be better human beings if we constantly reflect on life and prosper towards excellence. Join us this Ramadan from 1 to 2 p.m. on the Nation Station with Hatim Al-Abdus Salam.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My dear brothers and sisters, I salute you all with the salutation of the people of paradise. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.
Welcome to your Ramadan show with me, Hatim Al-Abdus Salam, in Oman FM radio station. And today I have my honorable guest and my buddy since the past years, Mr. Ahmed bin Barak Al-Muta'ani. Assalamu alaikum, Ahmed.
Wa alaikum salam, Brother Hatim. How are you? Ramadan Kareem.
Alhamdulillah, Ramadan Kareem to you as well. And welcome back. You were in the States.
Correct, yeah.
And I think you missed Oman.
Big time.
When did you come back?
Well, out 3 days before Ramadan.
3 days before Ramadan.
Correct.
Alhamdulillah. Just in time.
Correct.
For the goodies.
Yes, yes.
Alhamdulillah.
You know, like having Ramadan here is more interesting and more spiritual than, you know, having it in the West.
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. And congratulations on your firstborn.
Yeah, thank you.
The last time you were on the show, you were a bachelor, but today, mashallah, you're a father. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen.
Well, time flies, and, you know, I'm grateful for all the blessings that I've been receiving.
When are you going back to the States?
Well, by the end of July,
Inshallah.
hopefully, you know, I have to go back to start the classes. Yeah.
Can I carry your bags for you?
Oh, sure. Yeah, no, that's going to be an honor.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you.
For those who don't know Ahmed, mashallah, Ahmed is in the education business and he's currently doing his...
Well, it's not business, actually, sector, I would say.
Sector, okay. Sorry, I forgot I have an English teacher in the
No, I mean, you know, there is education business, but, you know, I'm more into business sector.
Sector.
Yeah.
And then currently he's doing his PhD in the United States. In what field, Ahmed?
Well, it's in instruction and curriculum.
MashaAllah.
Basically, you know, teaching and things related to learning and so on, yeah.
So that's why we chose a special topic for Ahmed today, or he chose a special topic related to education. So today we're going to talk about moral education and the role of schools in implementing it.
Correct, yeah.
Before we continue, I would like to remind our listeners that this is a live show and you can call us and tell us what you think about the topic on our numbers 24602 24602058.
Correct, yeah.
24602058. I think I'm getting old.
No, you're just having a lot of, you know, things going on.
Oh, hungry.
Yeah.
One of the two.
I would say, you know, just you're doing a lot, you know, so yeah.
Alhamdulillah,
Yeah.
alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
So Ahmed, why was this topic important and why in Ramadan?
Well, I wouldn't say this is a topic only for Ramadan, but we tend to discuss a lot of issues, problems related to our society, and this is the beauty of your program, is that, you know, we try to touch upon things that people can relate to, they can, you know, they are concerned about, and this is one of the issues that people are starting to feel the impact of it. Morals are very important in our lives, and without morals we will have a lot of issues and we'll have a lot of problems, consequences, and so on. So the idea of moral education is just to have it more systematic, more organized. But morals in general are very, very important, not necessarily for schools, but for everybody's life.
Yes. Now, Ahmed, I would ask this question again to myself first. Is in the past,
yeah,
the morals were not systematic.
Mm-hmm.
They were inherited.
Yes.
Yeah, through our parents, through the communities.
This is why they say, you know, morals are caught, not taught.
Mm.
So you catch them. You know, people don't teach morals because there's this kind of personal connection you need to adopt, and they become part of you. Yeah.
Now, why is there a need now to do it systematically? Why can't we continue the same way we were doing it in the past?
Well, we are disturbed, Hatem. There's so much destruction going on around us, and sometimes we cannot help it. I mean, if you just rely on, like traditional ways of doing it, then you might not be able to tackle them, tackle problems, I mean. So I think we need to have it more systematic, more organized. And don't forget also that nowadays, there are a lot of people who are influenced by religious, ideas and Islamic values and so on. And they come from cultures where system is very important. So you cannot just, come and say, you know what, we're going to talk about this and that, out of your hat.
Yes.
You need to have a system, you need to have, like a proper organization, teaching that kind of thing. I'm not saying that we should forget about the traditional way of doing it, but now we are having a lot of people coming from different cultures, from different, scopes of lives and so on. So you need to have a system to accommodate all these differences and cultures.
Until today, Ahmed, people interpret the word moral in different ways.
Correct.
So maybe you can enlighten us on what exactly does it mean when you say morals?
Yeah, but before that, Hatem, I think we need to talk about, the idea of morals in general. It's always connected with religion. And religion has been propagated nowadays in a negative sense. And this is why, we are lacking it, these days. This is one thing. Now, back to the idea of how we define, morals. Morals actually, there are so many ways, to define morals. Okay, one of them is that they're related to the standards of good or bad behavior that a person believes in, and they are not actually related to the laws. Okay, there's something that you believe in, you adopt, at a personal level. Okay, and they become part of you. Also, sometimes, they are referred to as individuals' own principles regarding right and wrong. So these are like some of the definition for morals.
Most of the time, Ahmed, people, they confuse between morals and customs.
Correct.
Yeah, and some of them even don't know how to distinguish between them. And this is where people clash. Because like morals are standard.
Yes.
Where it is goodness for everyone.
Yes.
But when the customs enter into the and becomes a mixture between the customs and the morals, then you have a problem where people can't identify what is moral anymore and what is custom.
Correct. And this is very dangerous, Hatem, because what's happening now, especially when people talk about religious values and so on, they always connected it with the culture, which are actually where we derive our customs from. We're not saying that, cultures are, source of bad, or evil, values, but sometimes there are a lot of customs and things which are not related to the religion. As a result, people, when they connect that culture with some religious, values, they get confused, and then they tend to coin that religion with bad, names or bad images and so on, which is something that we need to be very, very careful about.
Jazakallah khair, Ahmed, for that. Now, what is moral education or character education?
Well, moral education is about, it's a kind of education that helps children acquire morals, habits that help them individually live good lives, at the same time become productive, and they contribute to the society. So it's basically the same kind of, morals, but in a very organized, systematic way. Okay, and there are a lot of schools who adopt this kind of system in order to make sure that the students are exposed to these kind of values. There are some exercises, there are some activities, like inside and outside the school, where these kids, learn all these values and morals.
Ahmed, there is always this argument between the household and the school. Whose responsibility is to start off and instill these morals onto the children? Because the parents are the original custodian of
Correct.
The child. And then later on, they transfer the children to schools. And then the school has a role to play.
Correct.
But where do we draw the line? I mean, between the school and the household or the parents when it comes to morals?
Do you want the reality or its cousin?
Both.
Okay. I mean, when it comes to reality, okay, parents, unfortunately, I would not generalize, but there are a lot of parents who are away actually from the concept of teaching morals. Okay, they're busy doing other things, okay, or they don't see the value of these values or morals in their lives. And the other thing is that the role of media in propagating or trying to promote wrong ideas about what the values or morals of religion.
Yes.
Now there's always this kind of connection between religion and morals, and media has made it really scary for a lot of people to adopt the idea of morals. And as a result, parents so they said, what, I don't want my kid to be extreme or a terrorist and so on. So they were trying to sort of remove them from this kind of environment of morals and values. So this is the reality, actually. Now, if you want to talk about the actual truth, every single person in the society is responsible for teaching morality and morals for our kids and students. Parents, society, teachers, principals, okay, people who are working, okay, everybody in the society is responsible for teaching, kids and students, morality.
Now, for parents, they have already realized that they can't take the responsibility to teach their children morals, or they don't have a systematic way to teach them morals. Now they transfer them to the schools. How or what is the criteria for a person to choose the school? Do you go by the reputation of the school academically or morally? Is it do you do a research to find out which is the best school in terms of education and moral, or do you just depend on the word of mouth? The people within your family or neighbors who are taking their children to that school, and then you make the decision. Or is it financial constraint where you think that, okay, I will only take my children where I can afford, and it doesn't matter whether the school is good academically or in terms of morals?
Well, it varies, Hatim. I mean, you find parents.
I think we have a call. Let us take this call, and then
sure.
I'll give you a chance.
Sure.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you, brother?
Fine. How are you, brother?
Salam.
Good, alhamdulillah. I am Mazhar Mahmoud with you once again.
Jazakallah khair for calling again.
Excellent topic, morals. I like it. Very much important in our culture.
Jazakallah khair, brother.
But they have got certain drawbacks, I'll tell you.
Yes, tell us.
Earlier, parents used to do the lot of moral education to the children because it was a father used to earn, mother most of the time the housewife. She used to give good moral education to the children.
Yes.
Today, scenario is different. Working couples don't have time to give education to the children. That is one. Second thing, when we are talking about, okay, school will give. On what is the guarantee? School in the class, average 30 to 40 students will be there, and school might be good, but the teacher, all teachers might not be good to give the moral education.
Yes.
That is the drawback that, okay, sometimes we see that, okay, one class students might be very good, but not all the classes students are very good in the moral education because the teachers might not be teaching the same level. So always, we as a parents, I believe we have to give more importance. We have to spare our precious time on our kids, on moral education. Now earlier we had joint families, now we have become individual families. Me, my wife, my kids. Earlier we used to stay with parents, brothers and sisters, joint family was there. So that environment has broken now. So that makes also a big difference on the society.
Yes, Jazakallah khair, brother, for that. Inshallah, we'll allow Brother Ahmed to comment on that, inshallah.
Well, when we talk about moral education, it has nothing to do with your excellence academically. Okay, I mean, a teacher has to really focus more on how to teach these morals. Okay, and the morals has to be practiced. Has to be first of all taught to these kids so that they can adopt them. The whole idea here is not to really make people pass or fail a course. The whole idea is to make sure that these students are actually acquiring these kind of morals, and they become, part of their lives. Okay, he was talking about the idea that like maybe a teacher
Working
cannot,
parents.
exactly, and so on. I mean, this is a reality now, but it does not mean that parents should not do their work.
But I think, Ahmed, like for example, if I take the example of myself,
Yeah.
I was raised in a family with both parents working, but we still had our share of that moral injection every single day. There was the concept of quality time, where yes, our parents were busy at work throughout the day, but when they are with us, then they make sure they instill in us the right amount of morals. They are always correcting us throughout the journey. It is not like a certain day that we'll talk about morals. It is not systematic. No, it is there within. Whatever you do, then you have feedback from your
Correct.
parents telling you that
Yeah.
this is the proper way to do it and this is not the proper way to do it.
Yeah.
So we were raised in that way.
But Hatem, you're lucky, to have such parents. Okay, and the other thing is that the idea of believing in morals or the importance of moral. If a parent believes, okay, in the importance of moral, then he or she will do whatever it takes him or her to teach their kids the importance of morals. Now, we have a lot of parents, unfortunately, who don't believe or don't see the value of morals in our lives. And as a result, parents, pay the price.
Yeah, but Ahmed, this is a reflection of their attitude and their morals.
Correct.
Because if you are a person who cherishes and values morals, automatically you would want the same thing for your children.
Yeah.
But if you, and most of the time I feel in parents, if you don't have the time to preach your children or to teach them about morals, just be a good role model for them. Because kids learn by observing you.
Correct.
The way you conduct yourself speaks out a lot about
But
you.
how would you be a role model, okay, if you don't believe in the importance of morals? Do you understand what I'm saying? The idea is that in order to be a good role model for your parents or for the people around you, you need to adopt them, you need to believe in them, you need to see the value of such things in your lives.
Yes.
And unfortunately, a lot of people fail to see that value. I mean, I'm not saying that, everybody is doing that, but I'm just saying that, it's becoming a common thing. And especially that we're living, in a time of where people misunderstand the concept of freedom. And also the idea of, liberal thought and ideas and so on. I mean, you still can have a liberal life, but you still need to be a moral person, okay? Morals do not clash with our, pursuit of life and goals in life.
The other thing that I feel it's a sort of contradiction when you find the parents are really moral. They were raised in a very particular way, and they have the character of a moral person. But when it comes to their children, they feel that this is another generation. And, sooner or later they will grow up and learn and become like us.
Yeah.
They assume.
Yeah.
Yeah, they assume that their children will automatically grow up and become responsible. Or they assume that this is just a phase, and so on. For example, in our days, if you enter in a place where there's adults, you don't shake hands and you don't say hello to them, you get punished. Or immediately, one of the adults, not necessarily your parent, will scold you and tell you what's wrong. Why aren't you greeting the elder? Nowadays, you go and ask the young people, why you didn't shake my hands? Hello. Or you go to them and you say hello, because they feel that this is not important, and they don't see the emphasis from their parents.
Exactly.
Sometimes you see the elderly, the parents. Let's say, for example, they wash the plate or so on. In nowadays, you can never see your parent doing that, and you don't extend your hand, to help them.
Correct.
Nowadays, you find the kids sitting on the sofa, and the mom or the dad does everything. And I'm not here blaming the kids. I'm blaming us for being very soft on them and not wanting what is good for them. Because it is our responsibility, Ahmed.
Yeah. The thing is that with such parents who you think they are morally, adopting, these kind of values, and they don't, pass them to their kids, I think they were maybe doing them because they were scared of the parents punishment. They didn't believe in them. Otherwise, if you believe in something, you will try to pass it to other people. You try to make other people see the value of that one. And unfortunately, maybe sometimes the hard way that some parents used to have on teaching values and so on some kids worked.
It worked,
yeah,
yeah.
And some it didn't work. Maybe it make them at that time like follow and pretend to be morally okay and so on. But maybe when they go somewhere else, they try to do their own things.
But Ahmed, listen, I have a point of view in this.
Yes.
If you feel that the way you got the morals from your parents is not the right way, but you are content and you know that what they taught you is right, you can change the method, but don't change the values.
Yeah.
You believe in the values, that morals are important. Okay, transfer them to your kids in your own special way.
Exactly.
But don't say that because I got it in a wrong way, then I'm not gonna give.
What I'm saying is that this is why this kind of preaching in the past worked with some people, because people felt the importance of these values, and then they tried to pass those kind of values to their kids and so on. On the other hand, we have also parents who were just following the morals because they are afraid of their parents and so on. So we're talking about that category. You're absolutely right when you were saying that sometimes maybe we had a wrong way to do things and now we have to change the way we approach things. I totally agree with that. But sometimes people do it out of fear, out of like social fear, sometimes out of like fear from parents and so on. Like we have a lot of, I remember, when I was in high school, we used to have a lot of classmates who would try not to do a lot of things, in front of their parents. And when they got the opportunity to be away from their parents, they would tend to do a lot of crazy things,
Yes.
Why? Because parents did not dialogue with them. They didn't talk to them in a nice, wise way, to ensure that, they get the concept. Now, we need to really talk to our kids, as if they are really smart and they can understand, what we're talking about.
Okay, just to remind our listeners that this is a live show, and you can call us on 24602058, 24602058, and my guest today is Ahmed bin Barak Al-Matani, who is a PhD student in the United States, and he's in the field of education. Ahmed, now we
didn't talk about like criteria that people tend to.
We're moving back to the school now.
Yeah.
What is the criteria of choosing a school for your kids?
Definitely it depends on the parents, their interests, their intention, their culture, their background, and so on. Some people will look at the financial aspect of it. If I don't have the means, financially, I wouldn't go.
And definitely it's important because it's becoming a business.
Correct. I mean,
and every single day the fees are up on the at the moon.
Correct. So
unnecessarily, you don't know why the amount of fees that you pay and the result that you get, because some people don't mind paying.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not an issue because it's an investment in their children. But when you pay a lot of money and then you don't get the results for the investment that you made, then you become disappointed.
Correct. And the other thing is that, money is not the main factor, to determine whether this is a good school or not. There are some certain schools where they put a lot of money on entertainment. That requires a lot of money. So they will definitely increase, the fees and so on. It doesn't mean that, when a school requires more money to be paid, it means, it's a good school. I mean, I've seen a lot of schools here and outside, where they pay attention to how to entertain the students, how to make sure that, they have a lot of fun activities and so on, but they don't get anything out of it,
Well, I think, Ahmed, there are few challenges that make transferring the morals to the kids in the schools difficult. One of them is selection of the teachers.
Yeah.
On what criteria are the teachers selected? Is it academically only, or do they go beyond that and see their background and so on? This is number one. Number two, when you have teachers from different nationalities, different backgrounds, different ideologies, then each one of them comes with a set morals or attitude or beliefs or so on. And this for sure will implicate on the morals of the children,
Correct.
whether it is positively or negatively. Let us take this call.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Dr. Mukhtar. How are you?
I'm good. How are you, brother?
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. How have you been listening to the show?
Yeah, definitely. It's been my routine now.
MashaAllah.
Because it's so informative, interesting, and useful topics you are discussing on daily basis.
Jazakallah khair, brother.
There is no reason to miss your show, I guess, right now.
Jazakallah
Thank
khair.
you.
So kind of you, Sheikh.
And I'll say welcome to Brother Ahmed with all his expertise in education sector, and
I hope
he's giving
so.
us some very useful information.
I hope so.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, I would like to add one point that
Yes, Doctor.
definitely there is no doubt parents, they have the prime responsibility to teach their kids moral values. But at the same time, if we see in reality, we know that children, they are spending more time at school
Correct.
out of their 24 hours routine.
Yes.
So the role of schools, teachers, and curriculum is, I think, equally important. The activities which are going on at school, the cultural events, there is any bullying trend at school, and what sort of punishments they are giving to the kids who are involved in bullying. I think all this also equally important. And the teachers, schools, curriculum, they can use moral sayings, moral stories, different types of cultural activities to enhance the level of moral education at schools.
Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
And
So
you know,
just one question to
Yeah, go ahead.
Brother Ahmed.
yes.
That what do you think that there should be, along with the academic assessment, there could be some sort of moral assessment of morals and conduct of children at school, and the teachers and schools, they can assign some social activities to the kids, and at the end of the semester or at the end of their year, there should be a proper assessment and an award of degrees or grades to them depending on that.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of the things that we wanted to talk about, but it's good that, you have brought it up. And in fact, like we do have this system actually in the school, Hatim,
Yes.
we used to call, certificate of conduct, okay, where this will not be given unless you are really having good manners.
It disappeared now, I think. Or is it-
disappeared
I don't know
now,
if it
yeah.
exists.
I'm not sure, but it used to be a very important thing, and nobody can get it unless you have really a very good name and good
Conduct.
morals and so on. Okay, but I think you're absolutely right. We need to expand that idea. If it is not here now anymore, we need to bring it back, but in a different fashion, in a way that the emphasis should not be only on content and science and mathematics and so on, which is very important now. I'm not saying that we shouldn't pay attention to that, but also we need to pay attention to the idea of values and morals, okay? And we can connect all this content, okay, to morals in a very, very effective way. Like when you teach, for example, mathematics, okay, you can always connect the idea of honesty, the idea of being truthful about paying what you're supposed to do and so on. So I think we need to bring it back if it is not there anymore, but in a different way, and we need to expand it in a way that teachers, okay, have to come up with ideas where the students to practice, what they learn, not only, like just watching them, being quiet in the class and so on. But sometimes we need to create a culture of agents where kids are taught how to promote, for things. Like I remember one of the things that I learned in the West, for example, in the United States, there's something called value of the month approach, where the whole school will focus on one kind of value. Okay, like the principal, the teachers, and so on. There will be a lot of emphasis. There will be a lot of activities.
It's like a theme.
Correct. And there will be, like, for example, maybe a curriculum, to be taught along with the other ideas and so on. I mean, the other content. So if we bring this kind of, ideas to the country where, we could, and we need to not to forget one important thing. Our religion has a lot of of values and morals that
It
have
is
been
built on
yes,
values.
exactly. And it's really like sad to see that we are not making use, okay, of these ideas and morals and so on into our curriculum. Remember, Hatim, we used to have like one whole chapter in the what they called, religious studies, okay?
Yeah, yes.
Called, morals, okay? And basically it's all about, like how you can, for example, you define a moral, they give you a story, they ask you some questions, what
They give you examples.
and then they will give you some questions at the end of the chapter where you go and you're trying to implement what you learned, okay, in your society. Okay, that was a very fun activity, but like when you check, the curriculum nowadays, you don't find it there. I don't know why, but it built a very good generation in terms of morality and values.
Ahmed, I think it's time for a short break, and then we'll continue after the break.
Sure. Okay.
Ramadan offer from Maghrabi Hospital. Get 50% discount. Book your appointment now. Contact us 909-54909. Conditions apply. Ramadan offer from Maghrabi Hospital. Get 50% discount. Book your appointment now. Contact us 909-54909. Conditions apply.
The Messenger of Allah, peace be upon him, said, "Whoever provides the food for a fasting person to break his fast with, then for his is the same reward as is the fasting person's, without anything being diminished from the reward of the fasting person." The Oman Charitable Organization has the pleasure of announcing the start of this year's Ramadan Iftar Meal Program, and we kindly seek your participation for the sake of needy families in Oman during this holy month. All are requested to join in such a humanitarian and benevolent cause by sending your donation through account number National Bank of Oman 104 933 779 8001, Bank Dhofar 0104 0609 090001. SMS messages with a cost of 500 basis. Oman Tel 90022, Ooredoo 90909. Donations portal for charitable organization www.onlinedonations.org.om. The office building is at Al Quair Territory Area, Street number 47, side Sultan bin Said bin Taimur Mosque. The branches are in Salala at Al Sada, Sur, Al Murtafa, Sohar, Al Hambar. For more information, you can call 2429 7996 or 2429 7993. The Charitable Iftar Program from Oman Charitable Organization.
Join us this Ramadan from 1 to 2 p.m. on the Nation Station with Hatim Al-Abdis Salam.
Assalamu alaikum, dear listeners. Welcome back to your show Reflection with me, Hatim Al-Absalam, and my dear friend Ahmed Al-Mata'ni. And today we're talking about moral education and the role of schools in implementing it. And this is a live show. You can call us and tell us your feedback about your favorite asset in the world, your children, your investment. The number to call is 24602058. Ahmed, I was talking about the challenges for transferring these morals to our children. We said the selection of the teachers and the different backgrounds that they come from. And then we also have to talk about the turnover of teachers. I sent my daughter to one of the schools, private schools, and subhanallah, every now and then you hear that they have a new teacher. The last teacher quit and left, and there is a new teacher. And this affected my kid academically and even in terms of morals. I think we have a call. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Hello.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. How are you guys?
Fine, how are you?
Good, good.
I'm good, alhamdulillah. This is Fathia Al-Asri speaking.
Hi, assalamu alaikum, Fathiya.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Yeah.
Actually, it's the first time I'm listening to this show today. And I think you guys have a really interesting topic.
Jazakallah
Thank
khair.
you.
Thank you.
Hello, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
can, we
Thank
can
you
hear
so
you
much.
very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I have a point to address here. When it comes to school for the kids, I think somehow even the kids are affected with different personalities of children they meet in school.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, this is one. And secondly, even the systems of the school systems in Oman is a little bit different compared to other countries. You guys spoke about the financial aspects where the prices are going up and up, daily. And honestly speaking, if you compare the prices between the schools in Oman and the schools abroad, with the same quality of education, it is a bit pricey compared to other countries. Okay?
You mean Oman is more expensive?
What's that?
You mean Oman is more expensive compared to these other countries?
Some of the countries, yes. We're talking about the same quality of
Same
education.
quality, yes.
When it comes to the private schools.
Yes.
Okay, and I think this is one of the aspects which is putting behind a lot of parents, when it comes to taking their children to private schools where most of the people around here, they have an idea where better education is provided in the private schools, This is the mentality of a lot of people around here. And I think because of the high prices of the school fees, a lot of parents find it difficult to take their kids to the private school. So maybe this is one of the things that should be looked at. I don't know if it's in the ministry level or if even the parents can come up. But I think there should be a reasonable price for each class. You see different schools with different prices, And I think this is one of the things that should be looked at,
Yeah, first of all, we, Sister Fataya, this is somehow, off topic, but, we could talk about, the idea of financial matters, is becoming, one of the issues that a lot of parents, do pay attention to when they consider selecting a school.
Because it's a big burden.
Yes, okay.
Ahmed.
But as we said before, having a school which requires more money does not mean this is a very good school. This is number one. Number two, there are a lot of public schools that we have in Oman where teachers are doing a great job.
And some of the best results every year, Ahmed, are from public schools.
So we are not saying that, public schools are not doing a great job. It just, we want to see more and more because nowadays we have a lot of issues happening around us. We cannot control, this kind of information explosion, coming to us, without having a moral society. And this is one thing that we have to pay attention. This is why we say, since parents are busy, schools have to play a very big role in teaching and implementing, these morals. We know that, kids spend more time in the school, And not only that, she mentioned a very, very interesting, thing when she was saying that, a lot of kids, get influenced by their classmates.
Yes.
So that means when they leave the school, it does not mean that's the end of the relationship, So if we have a systematic system, that emphasize good morals, and we need to avoid, bad, habits and bad, customs and so on, then definitely we'll make sure that, people don't get influenced by these, bad behaviors. And we need to also pay attention to the idea of that social media is playing a role now. These boundaries that we used to have, in the past, do not exist anymore. I mean, with a click, you can talk to your friend, here in Oman or outside Oman and so on. So we need to really find a system that really teaches people how to be morally nice and good.
I want to look at this topic from a different angle only, because we can't only throw the blame on the schools.
Yeah.
The parents also are to blame.
Yeah.
And I think in Oman in particular, the Parents' Council are not playing an effective role.
Correct.
Because each parent is concerned only about their child. They're not concerned about the entire system of the school. So if I don't like this school, if things don't work out for my kids in this school, I just transfer them to another school.
Yeah.
Not bearing in mind that there are other kids in that school, maybe they cannot, their parents cannot afford to transfer them to another school. So the Parent Council, we are the customers for these schools.
Yeah.
And we should emphasize and dictate what sort of quality we want for our children, what sort of education we want for our children, what sort of morals to be instilled in them.
Correct.
This dialogue is like almost lost between the school and the parents. Even when they have the parents meeting with the school, they just tell you the grades of your children and how they did in their exams. That's about it. You don't discuss further like the decisions, any changes to be done in the school in terms of academia, in terms of morals or structure or anything else. The parents are not involved in these decisions because they're considered not as partners of this investment.
And even, even let's say, they're considered, like partners of this investment, okay? Hatem, there are a lot of parents who are concerned about, the delivery of content, how my son can be very good at math, okay? And how my son can be good at, science, for example. Forgetting that, they also need to be morally good, okay? There are a lot of schools that would pay attention to science, to mathematics, and so on, but they will forget completely about the idea of having morals in our schools.
But let us be practical, Ahmed. I'm yet to see a parent who would say, no, I don't want moral education for my child, or I don't want my child to be moral. So the school have to be proactive, to play this role in propagating this product.
Yeah.
If the parent is not interested in the morals, the school has to play this role. You know what? This is good.
If you're a customer,
the same thing. When you take your car to the service dealer, your intention is you're taking it for a service.
Correct.
But the salesman sells the product to you, says, no, why don't you do an AC cleaning? Why don't you change the brake pads? Why don't you do this? That was not your intention when you went there. But they sell the idea to you. So in school, the teachers and the administration of the school have to sell this idea that it is important to have.
But at the same time, Hatem, there is also the other side of the story. There are a lot of people who think that moral education can make a lot of issues, for their kids. Especially that moral education is somehow connected to religion, okay? And religion is viewed nowadays as a negative thing, okay? That's like, for example, if I'm a school owner, okay, I need to make sure that my customers are satisfied. But if they think that I should not have a lot of moral education in my school, I will not have it, because I know that they might think that I'm extreme, I'm trying to propagate certain ideas and so on. But what I'm saying is that here sometimes like schools do not pay attention to the idea or the importance of values and morals in the schools, and all what they're concerned about is to teach math, science, and so on, and languages.
This segment of parents that you're talking about, they are minority, Ahmed. They're very few, but the majority of them would like to
But there are
learn about.
A lot of people are buying it now because of the media, Hatem. I mean, look now. Like I remember, like one of my classmates. This is like a true story.
Yes.
He was trying to have this kind of interest in, religion and so on, started to read about, Quran and like he wanted to be more educated about, religious issues.
Yes.
His parents were not happy, and they felt that, he was, sort of interacting with certain teachers whom they thought they were, trying to influence him to be an extremist or a terrorist and so on. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So sometimes, the parents, play a role in emphasizing the idea of having values or morals. We're not saying that, they don't care about, morals in general, but, sometimes this wrong understanding, for the importance of morals and values that has been propagated by the media in a negative sense,
that's why
plays a role in
it's important what you said at the very beginning. You said it has to be systematic.
Correct.
So it doesn't have to be for a particular student.
Yes.
Yeah, one-on-one between
Correct.
the teacher and the student.
Yes.
The parents will get worried.
Yes.
But if it's a system in the school, it's in the curriculum, it's a systematic way of delivering this education to everybody, then I don't see a problem in that.
And like you said also a very important thing, Hatem, which is the idea of role of parents, in the schools. Like you said, parents,
Parents
council.
council.
Okay. In the West, for example, they have something called like parents, conferences. Okay, where a parent would come to the school, observe, his kid or her
Being taught in class.
taught in the class. Okay. And the kid has to perform, in front of his father and the rest. Okay, so they can see the progress, they can see, how he behaves, and they put them sometimes in challenges. Some of them, sometimes, they're moral, challenges, where they want to see whether they will use, like moral judgment, in that situation or not, because they are not only concerned, okay, about the idea of, teaching them only content, how to be, a scientist, how to be a mathematician, and so on. But, they want also to be morally good. And this is something that, we need to really, really
I think
adopt.
Parents and school need to be on the same page, need to work together.
Correct.
And they need to understand that they have competitors. We are talking about instilling moral values into our children, and our competitor is what we spoke about yesterday, the hip-hop values, the hip-hop culture, and the other cultures which are foreign to our community and our religion. And these values that are being instilled into our children through their own mobiles, PlayStation and so on, and media and TV, this will affect our children.
Yes,
so
absolutely
it's
correct.
better for us to be proactive and start this and get our children to be morally educated, instead of them getting the other.
Correct. And Hatem, this is very, very important. The other thing is that, we need to also to emphasize here is the idea of parents, getting involved in this, education. Sometimes, like parents could even suggest, books, for example, curriculum, for the schools where they can adopt and, to be used in the schools. Especially for moral education, because moral education is not is something that you can always find curriculum about, but sometimes maybe you have come across like a book or a textbook and you could recommend it to school.
The thing is, it's good to have things centralized.
Yes.
Normally.
Yeah.
And you would save a lot of trouble if, like for example, the ministry introduces these books, and it is like set for all schools. Then this way you have something which is standardized between all schools.
Definitely. And you mentioned also sometimes you have teachers coming from different cultures, from different countries, and so on. Having a systematic curriculum or education where moral education is emphasized and centralized, as you said, then we will try in this way we will have less negative impact, from these people, if they have, wrong ideas or they want to promote, for certain ideas and so on. But if you have a curriculum which is systematically organized and put together, then definitely, we'll not have all these, consequences, of not having, moral people.
Now, Ahmed, give us some statistics resulting from the lack of morals, because we've been talking a lot about morals, and some people will say, okay, we don't see why this is important.
Yeah,
so please.
Well, Hatem, there are so many, statistics, you can drive, from, lack of morality. But, let's, give an example of, what we call sexual, morality or, immorality. For example, in the U.S., I give an example here. They say 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before they turn 18 years old.
Subhanallah.
This is in school. And I remember when I was in St. Louis, I went to a school which is not a segregated, school. It's a mixed, like what they call it, co-education, culture. They found that, more than 40% of the girls before the age of 13, 14 or 13, are pregnant. 40%. Why? Because people don't have morals. They don't know that they have to respect that. They have to respect to privacy. They need to have that kind of relationship after marriage and so on.
There is no doubt that this would be moving on to the Middle East as well.
Correct.
Or even if it exists, God knows. Allahu Alam.
I'm sure that there are cases, and we have heard some cases actually in the schools here in Oman, where they found that there are some kind of relationships which are not legitimate and so on.
Yes.
And there are a lot of issues happening. I mean, let's be frank. Sometimes even this is not even at the school level, but look at the colleges and universities.
I think I see the concerns in parents.
Yeah.
Most of the parents are talking about. They're really terrified sending their kids to schools because of the drugs, the sexual abuse and so on. But the thing is, we can't continue being worried without finding solutions.
Correct.
Doing something about it. Just being worried, it will not solve the problem. We need to be proactive, and we need to work together as a community.
Correct.
We should forget about my kids only. We should be it has to be our kids.
And there's another piece of statistics here, like 34% of people who sexually abuse a child are family members.
Subhanallah.
If we think about it, if we have morals, if we have values are emphasized, at home and in our society, do you think, this thing would happen? We know this is not allowed.
Yes.
But, look, 34%, this is not a joke. One third of these people who are abusing, child or children are family members. Parents, okay, sometimes, brothers and sisters, especially, like in a society where everything is open and accessible, okay, and moral education is not emphasized.
And this is becoming also here, Ahmed,
yes,
again.
Yes.
It's not something that is very strange to the Middle East.
And there's also another statistic that I want to share here. Like they say, more than 12% of women were aged 10 or younger at the time of their first rape. Can you imagine? Like even they are not, 15 and so on. And 30% of women were between the ages of 11 and 17.
I think, Ahmed, to look beyond this as well, to the future, even in the workforce, these students who have not undergone the moral concept of moral studies,
education,
emphasize education, they move on to college. After college, they move on to the workplace, and we reap the fruits.
Correct.
Of what we have.
Exactly, we bear the fruit of.
We bear the fruit
because
you see in the workplace these days, and we don't generalize. Some of the graduates, they come with a very terrible attitude, and this doesn't come just like that. It starts from the house. It goes on to the school and so on. I admit, academically they excel very well. They're very good. Yeah, they have very high GPA and so on. But when it comes to morals and conduct, then I would say that there is room for improvement.
Yeah, it's very sad. Sometimes, even people are willing to do whatever it takes them to harm people in order to climb the ladder of success, if they want to call it. I've seen people, that they would do, like things that you never expect to see, from people who coming from such a culture. We still, Oman is still, a religious, society.
Yes.
But because of this lack of emphasis on morals and moral education in our schools, we're actually seeing a lot of people doing, for example, I'll give you an example. Because of selfishness. I remember one day I gave a task to my students where I want them to work, in groups, okay? And I wanted them to work together as a team and so on.
Yes.
And the idea is, to build, teamwork skills and so on, and, to support each other. Believe it or not, I had students coming to me talking about their colleagues not doing anything. Okay, I mean, this is true maybe, okay, but what I'm saying is that, I told them from the beginning that they need to support each other. They were not willing to educate their peers or to their classmates, about, the importance of working together and the idea of being, honest about work and so on. Not only that, like the idea of lying. You'll find also students who would hide, the fact that they are students in the same group not doing their work. Why? Because they're afraid that, they might be mad at them. This is part of moral education. If you see something wrong...
Just cheating.
Yes, cheating.
Cheating in exam. Cheating has become very common.
Exactly.
And people talk about it with laughter, and it's like something normal.
Yeah, and it's really sad, to see such examples, in our society. And as you said, if we don't emphasize it, if we don't try to have it in a systematic way, we will really pay a lot of consequences.
I think it's very important to go back to the basics and to our roots, where the Prophet ﷺ says, I was verily sent to complete the moral conduct.
Correct.
So the basis of our religion and our faith, it's not the rituals only.
Yes.
It is the moral conduct.
Yes.
If you have the knowledge in the religion, if you have the expertise and the education in math and science and so on, but you don't have the morals, then there's no use. There's no point of this.
Exactly. You remind me with a very interesting thing, like you might find, people who are religiously knowledgeable about, a lot of issues related to knowledge of Islam or the religion. But in terms of manners and morals, they are zero.
Yes.
I don't...
and you come across them a lot.
Yes. It's not about just, having, information memorized, okay? Yes. You need to see the impact of these morals in your life. And, people will start, like looking at you as a role model. And if these kind of pieces of information or knowledge do not have an impact on you, then you don't deserve that kind of knowledge. Knowledge has to be really,
And recently, Ahmed, the society has been affected by some incidents that happened where people were assumed to be religious, assumed to be knowledgeable, and people entrusted them with their children, and then you know what happened.
Yes, this is back to the idea of focusing on content, not focusing on moral education. Moral education will motivate people, will push people to do a lot of things, okay, and then you can focus on the content knowledge.
I always tell my daughter at home, I said, I have no problem you failing the exam as long as you worked hard for it.
Yes.
But I have a serious problem when you pass and you have cheated.
Exactly.
Then this I will never accept, and I will never forgive you.
Yeah.
Because moral to a society is the pillar of everything.
Correct.
Without morals, you'll have people ripping off the wealth of this country. You'll have people paying bribes. You'll have people lying and distorting. You'll have people who do injustice towards others. This is all cooked in one pot.
Exactly.
And if we don't look at it in this point of view, then we're gone, we're lost.
Yeah. It's really sad,
I think, Ahmed, unfortunately, we're running out of time.
Yes.
This is the end of it. I wished if we had more times to discuss about this. But I think maybe our listeners have got the picture.
Exactly.
And
I just wanted to say one thing, that, we need to work as a team in order to achieve this moral education in our concept in our society.
Jazakallah khair, Ahmed, for being with us on the studio. And dear listeners, see you tomorrow, inshallah, with another show about sleep management. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu.